Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be on this Wellness Wednesday event with you guys tonight. My name is Loren Richards, and we are going to have an incredible event tonight. So thank everyone for jumping on. I'm so excited. Before I really jump into all the amazing testimonies and stories and science, I want to tell you a little bit more about me. I want to tell you a little bit about my story and kind of what my journey is that led me here. So I'm going to start from the beginning. And normally when I share bits and pieces of my health journey. And I don't really tell the whole story because, most of what I talk about, there's not enough time. There's not enough time to get through my whole entire health journey. And I'm going to start today from ground zero because, you're here to learn more about a proactive wellness line. And I want to share what it looked like for me when I first found nutrition and wellness, and more about what it looked like from where I was 5 years ago to where I am today. So a little bit about me. I'm a mom of three. I'm a cardiac and vascular sonographer, which is just a fancy word for ultrasound tech. But I worked in the medical field and healthcare for 7 years before walking away and wanting to be a more present mom. I didn't go looking for this industry. It came looking for me. And it's so funny how you think that you don't need something, or you feel like something is not for you, and the Lord just shows you ways and puts opportunities in your lap, showing you, no, you really do need this. And so, going back 6 years ago when nutrition first came into my life, I was 30 years old. I'm 36 now, so I was 30 years old, and I did not believe in nutrition. I didn't believe in supplementation. I was very Western medicine when it came to anything, because that's the environment in which I grew up in my adult life. And so I was very against taking, anything that was natural. I kind of had this ignorant mindset about anything that was over the counter, that was like, for health and wellness, or, supplementation or multivitamins or whatever. And I didn't even take prenatal vitamins with my first two children because they made me feel terrible. And I didn't believe in them. I thought that nutrition was all just this big marketing scam. And so I was very put off to supplementation when I was introduced to this. And, I look back at my life before being involved with natural, holistic herbs, roots, and fruits. And I think about how sick I was, and how, as we as a society kind of we have on these rose-colored glasses about how, it's just normal. It's just normal to feel that way. It's just normal. Everybody feels that way. Everybody has gut health issues. Everybody has headaches. Everybody has anxiety. Everybody has all these things. And it's not normal. And so when I was first, way before this, I had postpartum depression. I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism when I was 19 years old. And I was on medication for that for 11 years. And so my health journey from that time till I was 30 years old was not feeling so hot, not feeling so great, always taking pharmaceutical drugs. And then my husband introduced me to the wellness space. I got out of healthcare. I left ultrasound when I was 30 years old. I had just had my second child, and I wanted to be a more present mom. And so I got into real estate investing, and I started flipping houses and chasing this dream like I was going to be Chip and Joanna Gaines and have my own TV show one day, right? And my realtor introduced my husband and I to the wellness space. And I originally said, nope, over my dead body. I will never take any of that. I'll never get behind any of that. I can't see myself, I didn't even take prenatal vitamins. So how can I believe in a wellness line? And so my husband was the one who said, listen, our kids are having a number one at a different restaurant every other night. They are eating Chick-fil-A concession stand food dinner, because my husband was a high school football coach at the time. And he said, we need to fill in all their nutritional gaps. And from that very first moment was when I started taking supplementation. And it truly made a believer out of me. I started to feel better. I started to sleep better. I started to feel like I was less likely to want to lock my kids in a closet when I came home from work. I was not so overwhelmed anymore. And I truly started to just dive in to the natural wellness space. I started to believe that there were things that were put on this earth that could heal our bodies. And so I became very aware of research and, studies about nutrition and about plant-based medicine and all these other kind of things. And so I dove into this wellness space, and it drastically has changed the way I feel. It's changed my health moving forward. I now have a third child, because when I first got involved in wellness, I only had two, but now I have a third child. I was able to go through my whole entire third pregnancy with no over-the-counter medication, no prescription medication, only taking the best of the best, things, herbs, roots, and fruits that were put on this planet and put on this earth for us to take. And I can tell you, it was the best pregnancy that I ever had. My little girl now is 3. So I am a mom of 3, and I'm out sharing this line every single day with people, because I truly feel like a lot of people just don't know what you don't know, right? Like, people don't know about technologies. They don't know about bioavailability. They don't know about the difference between drugstore, over-the-counter nutrition versus the line here with 3. They don't know the differences because we're just not taught. And I have a friend on who is going to come on here in just a second. Her name is KASSY, and she is going to tell you, she has a medical background as well. She is going to tell you about how little as an American society we know about nutrition and the wellness space and things like that. And so I'm going to share a little bit more of my health journey at the end, because I want to tie it all into exactly how I believe that things are put into your life for reasons which you may not understand. Because like I said, I was a hard no originally, but man, I'm so thankful to not only be blessed with the absolute best product line, but the best people that we get to share with, that have come in to this company, that have come into this organization. And the very first person that I want to have on tonight is one of my absolute best friends. Her name is KASSY HAVEL. She has been a registered nurse for 25 years. I have worked closely with KASSY over the last 6 years. She is a wealth of knowledge. She is really the expert. Every time I'm speaking with someone, or I have people have product questions or whatever, I always want to put them in some sort of group message with KASSY, because she is the best at what we do here. And I'm so happy to have you on tonight, KASSY. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background? Because I know I didn't do you justice by sharing more about what you do as a nurse and the background you have as a nurse, but tell us a little bit more about your background, and you can just kind of share your journey that led you here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Loren, so much for having me on. Obviously, I absolutely love working with Loren, and those of you that have met her, it's just amazing to be with her and her spirit. And she makes me feel so empowered and so worthy, which we won't talk about what healthcare did to me on that end, but just know that high five to the mental health that Loren gives me every day. So let's talk about background. So yeah, Loren said I've been a nurse for 25 years. I spent the first 2 decades in modern medicine. I absolutely loved working in labor delivery, working in the emergency room, helping people during a health crisis. I ended up working with administration. I ran almost 31 different facilities at the height of my administration career. I even worked with legislation. Once I started to get out of that Kool-Aid coma that I had after, my grandmother was a nurse. And so she instilled in me that what doctors say, that is You just do exactly what they say, whatever healthcare says you do. And when there was just an experience that I had over time that healthcare became different than when I started healthcare. So I worked with legislation to help with healthcare reform, because over time, when you work in the healthcare industry, you realize that there are some things missing, which, long story short, is what kind of led me to proactive wellness. To be perfectly honest, we actually had a health crisis in our own family. So I went to work one day and I had a husband and 4 healthy kids. And when I came home after taking the kids to all their different activities, because for those of you who don't know me, my kids are stair-step kids. They are currently 21, 22, 23, and 24. So we were very busy, and it was my day to take the kids to all their extracurriculars after work. And when I came home, my husband wasn't able to stand up on his own. His eyes were unable to track at all. I immediately took him to the emergency room. And after a long, very, very, very long process, we were given the diagnosis Guillain-Barré, which is an autoimmune neurological condition, which just means your body decides not to work the way that it was intended to work. And instead of attacking the bad chicken that the man ate at a convenience store, which there's your first clue, don't eat chicken at a convenience store. And instead of his body working the way that it's supposed to work, it decided to attack the nervous system instead of the bacteria. So anyway, we spent a long time in the ICU, in the hospital, and then we spent a lengthy time in physical therapy and occupational therapy. And he was able to get his activities of daily living back. He was able to do things on his own. He relearned how to walk. His vision got a lot better. But what didn't come back was his cognition. I remember 3 weeks to the day of the diagnosis, I remember sitting with the neurologist, and it was another follow-up appointment. And during those 3 years, I just kept thinking, eventually it's going to get better. We're doing all the things they're telling us to do. And I remember sitting across from that neurologist, and I remember the feeling that I got when he said, "Congratulations, you guys don't ever have to come back. Guy is one of our success stories, and he has completely recovered." And I remember this feeling in my gut of, what do you mean? Like, I can't talk to him about anything. Some days he forgets he has kids. Like, he used to be my best friend. Like, everything for the last 3 years, the things that kept me going was the hope that he was going to get back to himself. We're doing all the right things. And he just said, "Well, did you look at my waiting room? He is a true success compared to them." And we were in our mid-30s, and I was like, this is going to be my life? Like, that was my first eye-opening experience of healthcare isn't what I thought it was. I do believe there is a purpose for healthcare. I do believe that in America, we do certain things right, but I feel like there's a big piece that we were missing. And that's what led me on an 8-year journey of researching different things that were out there outside of modern medicine, which led me to proactive wellness. It led me to a piece that I absolutely had no idea about. I did not know that every disease processes stem from 4 things: malnutrition, toxicity, inflammation, and oxidation. And if you can combat those 4 things, we are in a whole different ballgame. And it was just so shocking to me as a nurse that during 2 full decades, nobody had ever explained that to me.
Right.
And that's kind of how I fell into 3.
Wow. So now that you say that, you said those four things. I bet every single person is now reflecting on their own personal health issues and trying to pinpoint, at where, whether that's malnutrition, oxidation, inflammation, or toxicity. I'm thinking back over the journeys of motherhood and thinking like, why wasn't this line introduced into my life sooner? My son was 1 when he developed nocturnal asthma. And if you don't know what nocturnal asthma is, I mean, just kids just randomly cough in their sleep all night long. And then I went down the rabbit hole. Like, if you're in health and wellness, raise your hand if you have ever gone down the rabbit hole of like publicized medicine. It's a website, PubMed, and you can go down and you can type in all these things and just start researching like what natural foods or plants or medicine that have been studied for the effects of whatever, like you said, that disease state is. And so that led me to heavy metal toxicity, where I did a lot of research on detoxing. And I can't make any health claims. Like, we're not here to cure, treat, mitigate, diagnose disease, but I can say that my own personal testimony is, after watching my own son detox heavy metals out of his system, man, what a drastic life change. And like I said, that reflects back on those rose-colored glasses of a normal person just being like, oh, it's normal. It's normal for this to happen. We're just going to roll along with it. Maybe they were taken to a doctor and the doctor was like, yeah, this is what it is. And here, let's put them on a traditional prescription medication. But most people don't think to go home and research, is there something else? And so I am so glad that you brought up those 4 things, because I do think that that's relatable to every single person, every single thing that somebody is probably experiencing when they're looking or starting in their health journey. So why 3? What about 3 is why you planted your flag here and really got behind our line?
Well, I think it's the simplicity of addressing the 4 things that I addressed. So it is, as a person that had a family member that had a health, I say crisis, but it was a catastrophe for me. As the support person, it was completely catastrophic to go one day from having my best friend, the love of my life, being one way, and him just not coming back, and having the realization that if we didn't have a miracle, because that's what I felt like. I felt like I was searching for a miracle. And when I found 3 in the simplicity of what 3 offers people, the simple 6 product line that does address all 4 things. And again, when you say getting down to the root of that particular illness, honestly, all 4 things interact with each other. So if you address the core 4 things with the 3 product line, you're going to notice, again, we can't prevent, we can't cure, we can't do anything specific like that with a disease process. But what you find is, when you combat those 4 things, when you get down to the core and the root of what is truly causing the body to not work well, when you address that, all of a sudden the body starts working to its amazing capacity. Like, I knew in nursing school that the body was amazing, but I truly took for granted how amazing it was.
Yeah. And do you think that the cellular absorption technologies that we use at 3 are a reason why those core 4 things that you talked about are able to, people are able to see results?
Oh, definitely. I firmly believe that, because who on here hasn't tried a supplement and been like, I feel the exact same. Like, I don't notice any different, but the doctor said I needed to take vitamin D because, my bones are very thin,
Right.
But here, the thing with getting down to the cellular absorption level is that's what we notice. We notice people have huge health transformations where they experience feeling completely different than they did before.
Gotcha. Okay. So I want to ask you one last question about the cellular absorption. Do you feel like in a layman's terms, when we're sharing our line, because it has the potential to make such a huge impact on people, what is the easiest way to talk about absorption? Like, do you describe bioavailability? Do you talk about, cell assimilation? Like, what are you trying to say to people when you're describing why what we have is different versus what you can get over, at a store?
So, for me personally, I love Dr. Dan and all of his scientific stuff, but most people aren't science geeks like me. So basically, I just really describe, when it gets down to the actual place that it needs to be. So let's take, for example, one methodology that we use, because of course we use 11, right? And it's based on the specific nutrient. It's not that we're using all these different methodologies just to use them. We're using them because each nutrient is different. And the way the body actually can absorb and utilize that nutrient is different per nutrient. So let's use one. Let's just talk about one. So liposomal technology. Okay. So most people are aware that of chemotherapy. It is something that is used. It's a toxin that is introduced into the body to have an effect on cancer cell growth. Okay. So it's very easy for people to be like, oh yeah, I know what chemotherapy is. Chemotherapy utilizes liposomal technology. It's a fat bubble, right? It's a basic fat bubble because the body loves fat. I mean, women on here, men on here, you all know the body loves fat, right? So basically, that is what liposomal technology is. It in chemotherapy, it takes a toxin and it wraps it up in a fat bubble, and the body goes, "Ooh, I want that." It's site specific. It adds all these extra science stuff that most people don't care about. What they want to know is it effective? So what we did at 3 was we took a nutrient, something that is really good for the body, and we wrapped it in a fat bubble. And the body said, oh my gosh, I'm going to take that nutrient and it's going to go exactly where it needs to go. And the body's going to be able to utilize it.
So basically what you would say to people if they asked why is it different is that we take nutrients and wrap them up in things and technologies so that the body can utilize them properly.
Yes.
Good. I hope you all wrote that down, because for someone, I come from the healthcare and I like science now, but prior to, that would have went right over my head. So you say bioavailability to me or assimilation or whatever, I'm off on another trail looking somewhere else. And so I'm so glad that you shared that with us. Okay, so I have so many questions I want to ask you. Honestly, like we could spend hours just talking about questions that I feel like most people want to know. Most people want to hear, how people would answer things or what your take is on this. But I really want to know, I learned this. I'm a numbers girl. I love statistics. And so 86% of the American population prior to the pandemic did not take nutrition. They did not take supplementation. Why do you think all of a sudden now people are getting on board with plant-based alternatives?
Well, I think that percentage of the population was me when Guy had his health crisis. I think that we all take for granted that we are healthy and we expect to always be healthy, and we expect for a health crisis to happen to somebody else. And when the pandemic happened, it became the reality for every single household that it could happen to you. And when that happens and you realize the significance of what transpired across the globe, it was something that created fear in people, and people are really open to finding things that they can do for themselves to make their body at the optimal level to work the way that it's supposed to work. And before, people didn't expect for it to happen to them. And when the pandemic happened, the expectation was that it was going to happen to them. And I think that I think that that's one of the better things that happened out of the pandemic is people realized, oh my gosh, it can really happen to me. And I need to do things to help my own body, to protect my own self, to make myself in the optimal way, to ensure that I have the best ability to fight whatever my body is exposed to.
So the proactive side, people are now becoming way more proactive than they were now because this realization has been put on them that it's better to start now than wait till it happens to you. Like, you're going to pay for your health one way or another. You better pay for it up front right now and be proactive about what's coming at you. Got it.
Exactly.
I like it. All right. So you and I both work together. We worked together at my very first hospital. I didn't even share that earlier, but that is how Kassy and I know each other. And we both know that, as you know, being in the medical field, working closely with doctors, working closely with physicians, we both knew what the PDR was prior to being a part of 3. How big of a deal would you say it is that we have all 6 of our proactive wellness line in the physician's desk reference? What's your takes on that?
I mean, I think it's huge. I mean, there is no other company that has all of their products in the physician's desk reference. I mean, we are the only collagen product that is in the physician's desk reference. So for me, in my 2 decades of nursing, again, you know, it is now electronically on your phone. But what I remember, it was this thick book that doctors had. And when patients had different symptoms and they decided this is the diagnosis, they opened it up and looked at what the best thing to give patients were. I thought it was phenomenal that that book was there. Now that I realize the qualifications that it takes to get in there, it's just mind-blowing. I mean, the lab analysis that has to be there, the clinical studies that have to be there in order for your products to be in there. I think science-wise, especially for the medical professionals, which is what, you know, I struggled with, even when I was at, you know, bedside, when I would talk to a physician about alternative outside of prescriptions, when I would talk to them about, I knew this worked for this, they were not open to it because it wasn't in the physician's desk reference. I think that it is vital for what proactive wellness is trying to achieve, which is a global understanding of what people can do outside of pharmaceuticals to help them reach their optimal health.
Okay, so since we went into the PDR, how much, let me see, okay, what's the right way? Do you feel like moving forward in the future, because society is kind of waking up to this wellness revolution, you know, or eating organic, eating clean, eliminating toxins, carcinogens, you know, things like that is becoming more and more popular. Someone asked me the other day, how does the company 3 set themselves apart from everything else that's out there? And I was like, well, eventually everything is going to organic, right? They're eliminating artificial this, artificial that, synthetics. But truly the way 3 sets themselves apart is because of cellular absorption. Even if you eat clean, you know, even if it's not about what you eat, it's about what you absorb. And so the way we set ourselves apart is through the absorption. But as people are catching on to this wellness revolution of eating clean and things like that, do you think there will be more education in the future for nurses and doctors and things like that on nutrition? Because I know when you went to nursing school, how much education do you actually get on nutrition and being able to address things with diet?
Well, I mean, I hope there's an increased education. I mean, I don't know that that's going to happen. I will say from a personal standpoint, what I was educated on was basically specific diets related on diagnoses. And as far as nutrition as a whole, we were taught the food pyramid, which is what every single person in high school, or when I went to high school, I don't even know if they teach that in high school anymore. I had 4 kids that went through high school, and none of the 4 talked about health. None of them a health class, and that was something that we were required to do. So the food pyramid, which again doesn't take into account in America what we've done to our soils, and the fact that on the food pyramid it talks about different serving sizes. But if your head of broccoli in 2023, it would take you 50 heads of broccoli to equal one head of broccoli from the 1950s. So I hope that there is a lot of education on nutrition or lack thereof in the actual you know products that you actually consume. I mean, the days of not supplementing are over. Like in America, we have truly demolished the actual nutritional value in the products that we are purchasing. So yes, I hope that there is a change in that. Am I expecting it from the 25 years that I spent in healthcare? No, yeah. I'm not. I think that that is something that is why I love 3, because 3 is doing that. They're educating people. Mm-hmm.
It's on us as the leaders and sharers and promoters of this company and this product line. Like I said at the beginning of this, you don't know what you don't know. And so I love that we all go out every single morning to share the gift of 3 with people, because people are not going to get educated unless we take the message, the vision, and the education to them. Last question, and then I'm going to get to some incredible product testimonies. We have an epigenetics study. And did you know prior to this epigenetics study and being a part of 3 that you can turn off and on certain genes in your body? I did not know that. So tell me more about what an incredible opportunity is to be able to use this when you're talking to people about just the validity of our line.
So as a nurse, I remember that on every intake form, which those of you that have been to a physician, you do an intake form where it asks you about your mother, your father. Do they have cancer? Do they have heart disease? Do you have high blood pressure? All of those things. Well, those questions are related to your genes. And I knew that those were things that we learned in our training. But what we didn't learn was that you could turn them on or off depending what is optimal for your specific health. I had no idea that you could do it through community. You could do it through exercise. You could do it through nutrition, right? I mean, who knew? Yes, doctors talk to you about exercise and eating a better diet. But again, they don't take into consideration what nutritional value the American diet, the availability of what you have at your fingertips, even if you grow your fruits and vegetables in your backyard. What we have done to our soils completely negates what they say can affect, nutritional wise, the outcomes, right? So I found the epigenetic study just really amazing, because they actually took our products, because of the nutritional value that they have, and they actually tested them on specific genes to see if our products would turn them on and off. Because Loren, you and I are real people. Do we eat clean?
No, girl, I'm the Chick-fil-A mom who will roll through Chick-fil-A like 4 times a week. Thank goodness for Purified. That is me.
Right. So, I mean, we are real examples of what the American population is comprised of. And I love the fact that there is a simple system that 3 offers that can help you turn on and off genes to ensure, to help regulate, the body becoming the most optimal, the most healthy that it can possibly be.
Gosh. Wow. If you're not using the epigenetics story and study that happened to go out and share the validity behind our line, I want you guys to make a change right now, because it is huge. And there's nothing else like that for backing up the science and the results for our line. So, Kassy, I am so thankful that you jumped on here tonight to share your expertise and your science with us. And I am going to roll right now into a few testimonies, because it's always like you can walk the walk, you can talk the talk, but proof in the pudding. I want to hear the stories. We always say that facts tell and stories sell, because the stories about what these products have actually done, real life stories, real life testimonies, are the most important part of this. So I am going to go now to Miss Jerri Finley. I would love for her to share a little bit more about her health journey, her health story, and just give you some real life facts and results, guys. How are you, Jerri?
Hi, guys. Thank you. Good
I'm
job,
so
ladies.
excited
Thank
you're
you.
here tonight. Can you tell us
Yeah,
a little bit more about your
I,
story?
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm going to back up just a little bit. I'm going to kind of paraphrase just everything because I'm 69 years old. I've got a long story. Matthew, our son Matthew, our youngest son, was diagnosed with autism when he was 8. And then later, much later, he was diagnosed with a chromosome disorder that obviously happened during gestation. He had always been very, very sick. Doctors couldn't figure out why. We went to Mayo, we went to University of Missouri Columbia. We'd been all over to different Children's Mercy, different places trying to get some answers, and we really got nothing. In fact, Matthew just got sicker and sicker. So I kind of like you girls, when I was in my 40s, I believed that traditional medicine was the be all, the end all, and that's what was going to help us and fix us. And so the straw that broke the camel's back was Matthew had been really sick all fall. Just he couldn't breathe, and he was just a really sick little guy, and went into a doctor who was supposed to be the doctor in the area, to find out about a specific illness that I thought maybe he had. And the doctor told me that I needed a psychiatrist, that there was probably nothing wrong with my son. And so I left that day and I went to the library. Actually, I went to the bookstore. I got in the car and told my mother, I said, take me to the bookstore. And that started my journey. So I'm I have a medical degree by hard knock
Yeah,
life.
sounds like
So yeah. So and looking back, our turning point was cellular delivery. Kind of like you all, we tried everything, and person who was sharing with me some nutritional things, I was like, no way, this can't help. We've tried everything. This is stupid. This is just a silly little plant. It's not going to help. But the key was it was cellularly delivered, and then I didn't realize the value in that. So that kind of started our journey. So by the time we got to 3, and which has 11 deliveries. This other thing had like 1, and it was 1 nutrient. It was like, holy cow, this is amazing. How can this be right here? But after 20 years, there's a lot of discoveries. There's a lot of patents that people have they've gone out. Things have gotten free because they were under patent before. So when our company jumped on all of these different things, they were very it was cutting edge. And it's hard to describe. It's hard to say. It's kind of like, okay, do you want your nutrition in the toilet, or do you want it in your body? That's kind of how you explain it, and without being really scientific. And then Craig and I personally, and I'll stick with Matthew for just a second, because Matthew is extremely healthy now, extremely. And when you have a child that has severe disabilities, you're always afraid that, honestly, that you're going to pass away before them. And that's hard to say. It's hard to think, but it's the truth. And we didn't want to leave a train wreck, for people, and you don't trust that they're going to care, or that they're going to have the right mindset or whatever. And so we're so grateful now that Matthew is so healthy, and people are just amazed at his wellness now, and how good he's doing. Craig and I have always worked out. We always ate like crap, just like y'all did when your kids were little. And then once our kids got grown, we were like, okay, maybe we should start kind of thinking differently, because life's slower and it's easier. but we had terrible genetics. You know, we looked at our parents and our grandparents and we went, wow, this is going to be a trip if we don't do something. And we always said that, you know, we're like, we do what we do. We use supplementation because we don't want that. But little did we know about this epigenetic thing. And then when we found that out, we were like, oh, wow, you know, maybe intrinsically something was going on in our brains that we just knew that was what we should do. So you know, and things that Craig and I have had, like I said, we've been blessed. We're really super healthy. I'm almost 7. Well, no, I can't say that. I'm barely 69, but I don't have
we just don't round up to 70. Just always.
Whatever. I'm kind of proud of it actually, but you know, people just can't believe it. I go in, they go, "What medications are you on?" I say none, and they look at me like I'm just like an anomaly. You know, like what? Because I look back at the shelves of my grandparents and my parents, and I'm like, you know, pill bottle after pill bottle after pill bottle, and for reasons, you know, they weren't just, you know, junkies. They had reasons. So anyway, so we've praised the Lord to have missed that speeding bullet and have stayed very healthy. We have amazing energy. I do. I feel great.
Totally a ball of fire. Like we can see the energy coming through the screen.
Well, I had a hip replacement and my doctor couldn't believe, and my PT was like, holy cow, I didn't want to give me little stars every time because I just breezed through it. And now my other hip is going bad. But as long as I'm doing, you know, the deal, and I can tell. I tell people all the time, you think you're not getting results, just stop them. Because if you stop them, you're going to find out, oh yeah, I guess those were working. Those were helping me feel better. So, you know, those are pretty much our stories. You know, we're just super happy and just really into the science, and we know that it's what we have to be taking. And we wouldn't be anywhere else. I mean, I'm always looking because I want to know what's new. I want to know what works. And if there's something that's going to be better, by golly, I'm going to hop on it. But there's nothing, you know, we are the top of the top.
Right. It's funny because, you know, Matthew's quality of life has drastically improved since being on the line. And you begin to think about, you know, why are we here? And a lot of people think that we in this leadership role do this for business, for money, for income. But isn't it crazy to say that if the company never paid us another dollar, we would put these products in our bodies for the rest of our lives, just because of the impact and the story, Absolutely. Just like that. Well, Definitely. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for sharing.
And we would tell people.
Yeah. Right. Thank you so much for jumping on and sharing. We loved having you on tonight. And we know that your story is going to go out and reach a ton of people, and maybe people will just be interested and willing to give 3 products a try. So we are going to jump now over to all the way to California, and we would love to have Raquel come on and share more of her testimony, more of her journey with us. And Raquel, are you there?
Hi, thank you for having me on today.
I'm so glad that you're willing to jump on and share a little bit more of your story with us. You are pretty much brand new, correct?
I am. I'm a few weeks in. I want to say about 6 weeks or so.
Yes. Well, tell us all about what the line, what experiences have you noticed? What results have you seen? Let's hear it.
Okay. Well, let me just go ahead and jump right in. In 2017, I got really, really sick. I had no idea what was going on. I thought I had the flu. I finally just said, hey, just take me to the hospital because something is not right. So went into the hospital, had a bunch of tests ran, and it found out that I had a disease called diverticulitis. Didn't know what it was, had no clue. They had me on antibiotics. I was in the hospital for about 5 days. Took me about 30 days to fully recover, lost a ton of weight, and they just said, take this antibiotics and bye. So I'm like, okay. I didn't know what to do. So from that point on, 2017 to current, I've been hospitalized probably about 6 times. Very, very sick. What I found out diverticulitis is it's in the intestines, it's in the stigmoid colon. There's little pockets that get filled with food, and that food causes infection, inflammation, and a lot of stuff going on. Started to research, talked to my doctor, sent me to a dietitian, eliminate nuts, eliminate certain foods out of your diet, did it all, and didn't find relief. I was bloated, discomfort, just all of these things going on in my digestive system. Drink water, do all of these different things. I changed my diet. I found 3 after prayer, and I'm like, I just need a breakthrough, Lord. I need a breakthrough. So I found 3, and I've been on all of the products except for the immune, and I have eliminated, like, all of the symptoms are gone. I don't have the bloating. I have daily movements. Those are so important, you guys.
Yeah, right.
Daily movements.
Hard to talk about, but very important.
They are. And, you know, those are really, really important. And the constipation is gone. You guys, I threw away 15 bottles of stuff that I was taking because I tried everything. I tried fiber, Metamucil. I mean, you name it, it was in my cabinet. I feel completely different. I feel like a new person. I just can't, you know, explain. And just like the lady before said, I'm not even going to try to be off of it because I don't know what it's going to do to me. Right. So yeah, I do. I feel a lot different. One of the things that I did share was with Kassy was when you have diverticulitis, you are always very cautious of what you eat. This year I hosted Thanksgiving with my family. And in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, am I going to be able to eat all the things? And I was really, really, really thanking the Lord that I was able to eat all the things and I had no problems. So that was like, you know,
that is amazing. A testimony right there in itself.
Yeah. You know, that just right. And I look forward to eating. I look forward. There would be times that I would just say, you know what, I don't want to eat. I'm just not going to eat.
Man, I can't imagine that.
Yeah, it's horrible. But you know, everything is I feel a lot better. I don't feel bloated and crampy and gassy and just all of the things that my body was going through. My hair, my skin, my nails. I'll be 50 years old in July and I feel fantastic.
So it sounds like you feel like this line with 3 was a gift to you, that's been a massive blessing to you.
My God. I can't even, I was in prayer. Like, I'm like, Lord, I need a breakthrough. I need a breakthrough.
I remember you saying that. And that is another reason why when you feel like you've been given a gift, while you feel like somebody's blessed you, it makes it easier every single day to wake up and to be able to go tell people, because you never know who's struggling. They might be struggling in silence. They may be very vocal about what's going on in their lives, but everyone is looking for something. Everyone is praying for something. And you never know who's in there saying a silent prayer. Somebody, please bring me something that's going to change my life. And just like you, Raquel, these products have made a huge impact. And so I want to thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you.
Talk about your story. It's not easy.
Thank you for having me.
Health problems and things like that and how they've transformed now. But thank you so much for jumping on, guys. It has been almost an hour. I'm going to wrap up this amazing, incredible Wellness Wednesday event. by just sharing one more story with you guys. I told you a little bit more about my health journey, and it's not even really my health journey to share, but I want to talk about how a lot of people, when they're first introduced to this industry, or even maybe three, there could be a potential chance that somebody might have a negative connotation. And I did. I used to have that same negative connotation about whatever I thought this was. And my initial response was to say no. But like I said earlier, things are put into your life for reasons you may not know. And I want to tell you a real quick story before we go about how we ended up here today. Was all because my husband was the one who wanted a health transformation. He was the one who wanted to give our children and our family the true gift of health. And about 2 years into our wellness journey, my husband, who was extremely healthy, had this vertical black line going down his fingernail, and thought it was a fungus, and really kind of wrote it off for a very long time. And we went to see a doctor who diagnosed him with having something called subungual melanoma. And it was a very rare and aggressive type of cancer that is not from sunlight. It is due to just abnormal cell growth. And he was basically told that depending on what the biopsy showed, determination of, would be dependent, and that early detection was key. And early detection, I mean, he had it for 2 years before he even went to get checked. But because 2 years prior, we were introduced with wellness and natural plant-based medicine, we felt confident that we were going to have great results. And he was diagnosed with stage 0 in situ subungual melanoma. And the doctor said, we're just going to excise the area. We're going to, cut that spot off, and you'll be cancer-free and you'll go about your life. So fast forward, that happened. Fast forward to just a year ago, inside my husband's graft line on his finger, he had what looked like a mole pop up in the graft line. And, when you've had cancer previously in your life and you see suspicious areas, you automatically begin to wonder, what if? So he went back to see a dermatologist after having this spot again for a year and not going to get it looked at. The doctors came back and excised the area and said, it is once again subungual or acral melanoma. So this is now the second time in the last 5 years that my husband has been diagnosed with a very rare and aggressive type of cancer called acral or subungual melanoma. So they go in, they do lymph node biopsies. They excise the area to check for depth. It is once again stage 0 melanoma. The doctors cannot begin to even explain how this is the second occurrence, and it is not invasive at this point. And the doctors decide that he is going to just have the best opportunity to just have the tip of his finger amputated. So last August, my husband, who was a high school football coach for 20 years and now is just a math teacher and a wonderful dad to our children, had the tip of his finger cut off due to a second occurrence of something called subungual melanoma. And I want to just say that I am a bubbly, funny, outgoing person, but I want to just be real with you guys for just a second. This is put into your life to go impact a ton of other people who don't even know that they're going to need this in their life right now. And we were those people. We were those people who didn't know that they needed nutrition. We didn't know that we would be faced with cancer. We didn't know that we were going to have our own major health crisis. Like Kassy says, people don't react until the health crisis is there. I want to challenge you to be proactive, because I don't know where our lives would be at right now had we not been introduced to nutrition and supplementation and plant-based medicine 6 years ago, because you never know what's ahead of you. My husband is healthy now. He's thriving. I'm sure he misses the tip of his finger because, he can't be number one anymore. He's just like 0.75. But We are super thankful for this line. We are super thankful for the person who shared this with us. And go out and share the gift every single day with people, because we do have an amazing blessing and we want to wake up every day and go share it. So thank y'all for jumping on this Wellness Wednesday with us. And we will see y'all next Wednesday. Bye-bye.